Xin chào các bạn. Tôi rất vui mừng có mặt ở đây hôm nay. Tôi học tiếng Việt nhưng tôi chưa không nói tiếng Việt. But I can speak English. And I know all of you can speak English. So this is going to be your first test. Sit down. Look at that. I'm so glad to see that Tân Tạo has taught you how to speak English. This is marvelous. So good morning, students, and congratulations for being the graduating class of 2016 from Tân Tạo University. It gives me great pleasure to be here on this wonderful occasion to see the next generation of Vietnam leaders coming forward and ready to take on the challenges of the real world. Thinking about what I was going to say here today, I thought about these robes that we're wearing. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, nice, red color. Anyway, I think it's interesting that we are wearing these kind of robes today, many hundreds of years after they were designed. Imagine walking down a fashion show in the Middle Ages wearing these robes and having the crowd going, ooh, ha, that's really the latest style in academic dress. But seriously, these robes actually are the symbols of some pretty important concepts. They represent tradition. They represent something that's bigger than all of us here today. They're bigger than something that transcends, they are something that transcends this place, this country, this world, and this time. It calls us back to the tradition of education, the tradition of learning. It represents a comfort zone where we feel safe in the company of each other and in the company of hundreds, thousands, and yes, millions of people who have gone before us and worn these robes. Now, it's true that these robes are a Western design of ancient Roman robes, but they would not look out of place in ancient Vietnam. Remember your ancient history. Emperor Wu, the first Chinese emperor of Vietnam, and the one who was thrown out of Vietnam by the Chung sisters, is depicted wearing something very similar to these robes, even down to the hats that you guys are wearing who are going to be graduating today. The tradition represented by these robes puts us in the company of people like Ly Thai To, the first emperor of Vietnam, whose statue is in the middle of the square in Hanoi, gazing down on children playing in the park before or after going to school. He was a scholar also who represents the great wisdom and love of knowledge that exists throughout Vietnam. These robes and this tradition link us to the Temple of Literature in Hanoi, where a row of statues, actually turtles, proclaims the graduation of many scholars of times gone past and buried in the mists of history. Actually, I'm pretty sure that you all are very happy that you're not going to come forward today and receive from us a giant stone turtle that you're going to have to carry back to your seat. This tradition links us, and I do mean us, Dr. Levy, myself, our wives, everyone on this platform and sitting down in front of me today has earned the right to wear these robes and earned the right to be represented and the recognition that they represent, just like you. Besides connecting you to the long and deep education tradition in Vietnam, this tradition connects us to the great thinkers of the world. You are in the company of men like Luther Burbank, a renowned botanist from the United States, who was known for his plants, and he developed more than 800 varieties of plants during his research in a university in the United States. It connects us to great scientists like Pasteur and Curie, Fleming and Salk, and others who opened the doors of modern medicine and brought us out of the dark ages of primitive treatments. It links us to the time of great judges and lawyers who made us think about the value of truth and justice and the equality of all peoples. It links us to the writers of those famous words in our constitutions, in our Declaration of Independence, not only the United States, but that of Vietnam, where it says that all people are created equal and endowed with the unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These robes are a comfort zone, a nice warm place that reminds us of times with friends, late night collaborating with colleagues on projects, talking about what we think about the future, dreaming about the companies we will create, the new types of crops we will invent, and the new theories of cosmology that we will design and argue about with people like Chandrasekhar and Dr. Levy. Yes, your robes put you in the company of Albert Einstein, Werner Heisenberg, other giants of physics, music, painting, philosophy, and more. But these robes also put you in the company of others. They put you in the company of the brave souls who survived the Chinese purges of teachers when Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, reportedly burned books, rounded up intellectuals in early history, and buried them alive. It puts you in contact with the people who wore robes like this and escaped from the tortures and the killings of scholars and professors in the Middle Ages, when it was punishable by imprison or worse to disagree with those who said that the solar system revolved around the Earth and not the sun. It makes you the colleagues of those brave individuals who survived those purges and lived to copy manuscripts, who lived to copy books and to preserve the knowledge in them, to quietly continue the tradition of education, of the search for scientific facts, the tradition of experimentation to discover new truths about the world in which we live, and to keep alive the flame of knowledge until it could burn brightly in the world today. Now, I tell you this because today there are many in this world who would take away that comfort zone, who believe that knowledge is not a good thing, that people do not need to decide things for themselves, that climate change is a lie, that turning inward is a good thing because all of those others being anyone who doesn't look like you or like me, are bad and can't be trusted. We live in a world where not believing in certain religions can get you killed by fanatics, where welcoming people from other countries into our country can be considered a terrible thing. In the United States, as well as everywhere else, there are ferocious debates going on over how to deal with many issues, many important issues like health care, immigration, poverty, and development. These are the kinds of issues that you are being prepared to tackle. These are the kinds of issues with which we must all deal. They are hard issues, they are complicated issues, and they are sensitive issues. But look at how they're being debated in many places today. Are they being debated with facts and figures, with proposals and counter-proposals, with debate and compromise? No. They're being debated with single-word slogans like liar, crooked, cheat, with data that's not correct, with data that's just made up on the spot. Well, there are many in the world today who believe that the world is out to get us, that there are terrorists behind every bush, and that great nations can no longer work together to make peace. There are people who would have you believe that only single personalities can save us. Well, these know-nothings, these people who would have you believe that education is a tool, that education is not going to help you, these kind of people are the kind of people that these robes are designed to fight against. These robes were made for people who are resolved to learn and to bring that learning to everyone they meet. Just as much as you are connected to those great thinkers, thinkers like Samuelson and Keynes, and yes, people like Marx and Ho Chi Minh, you are also connected to those quiet, resolute people who survive the bad times to preserve the flame of reason, discussion, and compromise. Make no mistake, this is a great day for you, which I hope you are going to remember for the rest of your lives. But it's also a day that you need to take the time to think about your future and the future of the world in which you are about to emerge. Now, I have to say, this is pretty heavy stuff, but I know TTU-ôNG, and I know the students who go to TTU-ôNG, and I know that you can take it. This is a great university. This is a place where you can get the tools you will need to continue to grow. I love coming here to see the students and to talk with them, because I always go away refreshed, knowing that the future is in good hands. Some of those hands are pretty weird sometimes, but I still think great hands. You have known a much better life than your parents. And speaking as a parent, that's a great thing to be able to say. You have another advantage. You live in Vietnam, and Vietnam is in Asia and in ASEAN. This is the fastest growing area of the world. This is a place from which the world is going to see new ideas emerge in many fields. This is a place that wants to deal with climate change, that wants to deal with poverty elimination, and that has already lifted millions out of poverty, and that has plans for continuing that important work. Many of you have been studying medicine, and you are coming into a world where new discoveries are happening every day, and where the future looks amazing. I've been traveling all around Asia recently, and everywhere I go, people want to know about Vietnam. You are living in one of the models for growth of the modern world in Asia. Companies want to do business here, and that's why you learned English. And you learn more than just sit down and stand up, I'm sure. ASEAN is working on new ideas like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Vietnam is a member of that group. But Vietnam is also a member of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, another new idea of how to manage trade in an increasingly complicated world. These are the new relationships, the new ideas that can and will show the world that we can work together. So don't be fooled by people who want you to hate something or somebody. Don't be upset when someone says that only he or she can resolve the problems of the world. Just tell them, show me. Show me the reason why you say that. Show me the facts, the figures. Show me the opinions of people I respect, not somebody I barely know. Education, particularly the education here at TTU-ôNG, gives you what I call a built-in crap detector, an ability to instinctively tell when someone is trying to sell you something very cheap at a very, very expensive price. This is what education strives to do, to let you look at arguments analytically, see them for what they really are, to give you a framework in which you can tell reality from someone's fantasy. Now, I have got great confidence in you. Go out and have a great life. You are TTU-ôNG graduates. You are Vietnam. Thank you very much.